Welcome back to Body and Beyond. I am your host, Catarina Orr Evans, and I had a little hiatus from here. I did so good with having some podcast episodes, and then I got back from my anniversary trip with my husband, and I was like, you know what? I'm doing a lot right now. I just need to bring in an episode when I'm ready to dive into something. So it took me a couple weeks, but here I am, and I was sitting on this conversation that we're going to have today because a practitioner reached out to me. It was maybe last week. And it gave me the idea of what I wanted to talk about and expand on today. Because she asked me my thoughts on MTHFR, which I have been practicing this pronunciation because I know some people are going to come for me and be like, she can't even say the name. So, methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase. That is MTHFR. And so she asked me my thoughts around that. And I was like, this will be perfect to have a conversation around this because I have seen a lot of people tight grip onto this diagnosis and make it their whole thing. What you're going to be doing to support that gene variant that you have, which doesn't mean that it's your destiny or it doesn't mean that you're expressing it that way. So we're going to talk about my thoughts and my perspective on MTHFR, whether you have it or not, or you're just like, I'm curious to know, because this can apply for a lot of people, regardless of whether you get this diagnosis or not, because a lot of the things surrounding this are going to be things you're going to be supporting for your health, or you should be anyways. And the world that we live in today, where toxins are abundant, stress is ever so high, and we have the worst guts. The reason that I center my practice around gut health is because so many people are struggling with their gut, and a leaky gut is a huge internal source of toxicity that I don't think people are catching on to. A leaky gut means leaky brain because everything's going to seep through your gut lining. And let me tell you, your gut lining is one cell thick. So what you're not digesting with that weakened barrier is going to be going right into your bloodstream, and it goes anywhere and everywhere. And this is where systemic inflammation becomes prevalent and all the other things stemming from there. So yeah, I just feel like this conversation needs to be had, and maybe my perspective on this, because maybe some people are walking around in fear of this and holding on to this identity it means so much, and they have to walk on eggshells through life. And I'm here to tell you, if you have MTHFR, you do not need to be walking on eggshells. You can step into this and have a huge curiosity around it, that's interesting, but know that you get to choose how this plays out for you. So I'm not sure if I'm going to talk with the mic this whole time because it's going to maybe get a little bit annoying, but I wanted to switch up the scenery too, because I've been sitting in my office chair majority of the day, and I was like, oh, I need to change up. I want to talk on here and I need to change up. So let's dive in, shall we? We need to reframe this fear, this attachment, this identity people are holding around having MTHFR or having this genetic variation of it. This may slow down and how you detox and how you methylate, but this is happening for everybody, whether you have MTHFR or not. The amount of people that I see in my practice that have slow and sluggish detox or are poor eliminators is very, 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 very common. A lot of us are slow metabolizers. We're detoxing slowly, and it's not of a benefit right now because we have toxins of abundance. So we need to diminish this fear around it, because it's not a disease. It's literally just a genetic blueprint. This doesn't mean this is how everything is going to be for you, because epigenetics is what determines how that gene is expressed. So we need to stop tying and holding on to these diagnoses and these genes as oh, I'm destined for this. No, you get the opportunity to change how that is turned on, how that is expressed or not. You have a blueprint for it, but you get to decide how it's built. You get to decide how things go together. You get to decide how it's actually expressed and how you show up in the world. And so we don't need to be holding on to this with so much fear, because the reality is it just means you have a little bit of slow and sluggish detox. I don't want people to be so freaked out holding on to this identity, because it doesn't mean you're broken. It literally just means, okay, well, we get to support detox and we can make a few adjustments here and be aware of a few things. And honestly, life goes on. Life goes on. So I want to talk a little bit about epigenetics because epigenetics is what determines how your genes are expressed. We have the genes that are the blueprint, or what everybody likes to say in the functional health realm is your genes load the gun, your epigenetics pull the trigger, which is essentially just meaning exactly what I've been saying is you have your blueprint for your genes, but you get to decide how it's laid out. You get to decide where you put things, right? Essentially, if we think of like this as like a blueprint for building a home, like you're the builder. You get to decide how you actually want things to go. We have a blueprint or we have a template. Epigenetics are things like the food that you eat, how you nourish yourself, how you take care of yourself, your self-care, the toxins, the environment around you, and the way you talk to yourself, the way you treat yourself, the home in which you live in, right? For internal toxins in your home, like mold, et cetera, et cetera. So really, we get a huge say. We get a huge say in what our genes are by how we take care of ourselves, how we show up in the world, and how we support our health and our daily habits, thoughts, etc. So this matters so much, right? Like this matters so much in whether these genes get turned on and they get expressed in that exact way, or they're just like staying quiet. They're just like, we're gonna pop out. We need to. Think of like shingles. Shingles lays dormant until what? Until a stressor happens, until something, the internal environment within your body changes and that comes to the surface. And so you can have this there, right? Shingles can lay there dormant, but it doesn't mean that's what you're actually going to get. It doesn't mean that's your destiny, right? It's just a matter of a collapse or the internal terrain of your body shifts into a state where that can proliferate. And so really, epigenetics are a huge, huge game changer in how you live your life and whether something becomes something for you or not. I feel saddened by the fact that some people will walk around and they'll get these gene tests, and some of that can be helpful or just insightful to know, right? It can be, but when you're looking at those results, do you look at those results from your genes, your gene test or whatever, and your SNPs, and you're like, oh, damn. Like, oh, damn, this is going to happen to me. Imagine reviewing results of like a potential for you, a possibility for you, and you'd be like, oh, damn, that's going to happen to me. I should just go ahead and take care of these things now. I should just go ahead and get the medication for it or something. Can you imagine viewing results about your genes in that way and not a potential like, oh, I have the opportunity to support something and minimize something and prevent something by how I show up in my health and in my life? And the daily things that I do for myself, how empowering is that? How empowering is that take versus, oh, I'm destined for this? Yeah. Unfortunately, I feel like that's what a lot of people want. They want you to be disempowered and they want to be able to manipulate you and get you on board with things that was maybe never going to be for you, but because now you're feared into it or you're disempowered into it, that, well, let's just take care of this now, right? So that is what I have to say about gene tests like that. It's just a possibility. It doesn't mean that is going to be a thing for you. And I love when a lot of people say like, oh, well, it's in my genes. You know, it's just genetic. It's passed down. It's like, I love when people say that because it gives me an opportunity to be like, hey, have you thought about though? The ways in which your genes have been expressed matters. Have you thought about though, instead of it just being genetics and like a destiny, well, I'm just gonna have this because it was passed down to me in that way. Have you considered the fact that maybe mineral deficiencies were passed down to you and not just in your genes, you can't do anything about it? Have you ever thought about that toxins were passed down to you? Have you ever thought about the nervous system of your mother was passed down to you that can leave you more susceptible to imbalances and immune issues? Have you thought about the fact that mitochondrial damage has been passed down by toxins, by mineral depletion, by stressors? Have you thought about ancestral trauma, generational trauma have been passed down to you that can be a blueprint into your life, but you still have the decision and the choice to change your circumstances or what was given to you? You have the amazing opportunity to change everything for you, no matter what was passed down, rather than seeing that it's just my genetics. I can't do anything about it. There's so much every single day that you can make decisions and choices on that change everything for you. You're not stuck in anything. I am so fascinated by quantum physics when I study this and study into the realm of quantum healing, is that there is endless possibilities for you. Endless possibilities for you. And you get to decide what you bring down into your field, what you bring down into your consciousness of what is for you and what you want to do. And that's why I know this sounds crazy. And I think I said this to my husband the other day, and he was like, get real. And I was like, sorry, I believe it. So I was like, you know what? I tend to believe that like I get what I want. And I don't mean that in a way of like, I'm a little bitch and I'm a little stuck up bitch and I like get what I want. No, I mean that in the realm of quantum physics. I mean that in the realm of what I really want, what I focus on and bring my attention to and pull into my consciousness and awareness of like, that's for me. I love that. That's a possibility for me. Is I get what I want because of this idea of bringing attention into something. I love this example to explain to people. It's like, you think about a car that you want to get. You're like, I think I really want to get a Jeep, right? That's a car that I want. And then you're driving around and you're like, what the heck? I'm seeing this car everywhere. Why am I seeing it everywhere? Well, it was brought into your field. It was brought into your field and now you're seeing it everywhere. So that's the same thing. It's like, I believe I get what I want because I believe, number one, that those possibilities are endless for me. And I believe that I'm deserving of them. And I want to attract what I want in my life because what I want wants me too. I literally have this as my background. What I want wants me too. And that, I'm sorry, if that bothers you, I'm not taking this in the lens of like, I get what I want. I'm a snotty little biatch. No, I am looking this in the lens of, I believe I am capable of having, and I believe I'm deserving of having anything that I desire. And that is true and good for me, my highest self. And I'm going to call it in. So I'm a little off topic here, but I love looking into and leaning back into quantum physics and what it teaches us, that possibilities are endless. And we have the choice every single day of what we want to bring into our life, what we want for ourselves, what we are deserving of, and where we want to be. Like, if there's this version of you that you want to be, call her in right now. Call her in right now. What is she doing? What is she acting like? How does she think? How does she talk? Then you will have it too, because anything is possible according to quantum physics. So go and get what you want, honey. But diving more into this, I know I'm a little off topic here of talking about that, but that's how I truly see epigenetics. Is kind of on that same lines of, you have a lot of power, you have a lot of opportunity, you have a lot of decision. There's so much potential for you. I can't wait to see what you choose in your daily life towards what you want and who you can be and the health that you desire. And so the next thing I want to bring into this conversation about MTHFR is talking about the germ theory versus terrain. And this matters a lot too. And how is it really about MTHFR or is it about the terrain? And if I go back to that shingles example, right? The shingles lay dormant, but what turns it on? What activates that? Well, what activates it is a stress or a change to our internal environment. So the terrain theory of our terrain determines what germs or what viruses or what pathogens or what genes get expressed, okay? And the internal terrain is anything from your truly internal terrain of your subconscious mind, your subconscious patterns, your beliefs about yourself. That's internal terrain. Internal terrain is also your gut microbiome, the bacteria that you have, the bacteria that you don't have. That determines your internal terrain of the stored emotions in your body, the things that you have pushed to the side and you're like, I'm going to get back to it later. Your internal terrain in terms of your gut health. Your gut runs from your mouth to your ass. So there's so many different organs and systems involved in that. So your internal terrain is, yes, your internal world and your gut health and all those things. But that determines how some things are expressed and what decides to proliferate. And so essentially the germ theory is, well, let's just get rid of the germ, right? And the terrain theory is, well, no, we need to address the terrain, which leaves us susceptible to the germ, the pathogen, the virus, the gene expression, right? So germ theory just says, well, we don't need to do anything to our vessel, to our inner world, to our environment of where this pathogen is or where this gene expression is at, right? But that's not the truth, because there's something that turns on the genes. There's something that expresses a gene in some way, and that's epigenetics. But epigenetics is also this terrain theory of the host itself, the vessel, the internal terrain, the subconscious mind, the habits, the self-care, the gut microbiome, the gut system in general, all the way from your mouth to your ass, and all the organs and processes involved with that. That changes the way that this germ is. And so instead of just trying to pinch out and remove this like germ, it's like, well, if we remove the germ, then nothing else was changed in the internal world, in the internal environment of which was living and what caused it to exacerbate and which caused it to proliferate or to be expressed in the way that it is. If you just remove the germ or the thing, you're not addressing the whole system, whole self, which led to its presence in the first place. So the issues will come back again, whatever time that might be, who knows, or the issues will present in a different manifestation. How often do we see this played out in health issues? Somebody goes to, let's take birth control, for example. The woman struggling, this is the common thing women step into birth control with, is they're struggling with their menstrual cycles in their teens, in their first few years of menarche. And that is normal. It needs supported, but nobody's helping them support it. So they go to their doctor, and their doctor is like, birth control, that's it. Tons of women are on it. It's great. That's honestly what I got told. So that's the crisis. So there's something off in the internal world of this woman. So to get a quick fix, we're going to just pinch the problem. We're going to put a Band-Aid on it, and then they get on birth control. And because it's suppressed, the issue, the terrain was never addressed, the ecosystem of the individual, something else pops up. What pops up? It's acne. Something else pops up. It's thyroid-related issues. Something else pops up. It's IBS. Something else pops up. It's a mental issue. It just pops up and manifests in many different ways, right? And many different places. So it doesn't always look the same as like, oh, the issue resurfaced as another menstrual cycle issue. No, your body's going to express it in different ways in different places to get your attention, whether in the emotional field, the mind field, the physical body, et cetera, et cetera. That's the problem, is the terrain was never addressed. And so that's kind of where my whole approach in working with people is addressing the internal terrain, is working with the whole body, peeling back the layers and asking why and what is causing the body to express it in this way, and what all layers can we peel back to uncover what's actually going on, what actually needs to be looked at, what actually needs supported. And the germ theory to me is just like an incomplete picture. The germ theory to me is a cop-out. The germ theory to me is a different way to continue to make profits off of people, because an issue is going to resurface and come back, or multiple issues are going to be present throughout the body in many different ways. And so that's keeping somebody coming to your space rather than let's address the environment of the person. Let's work with supporting the whole body, the whole self, so that the issue just doesn't pop up again. And we actually get to the root of the issues where we can keep pathogens and issues at bay. So back to MTHFR and how this all ties into germ theory versus terrain theory is that I don't actually see MTHFR as this like huge crisis that somebody needs to go into instant panic mode or put this as their like Instagram bio of, and by the way, I have this, like I want everybody to know I have this and this is what journey I'm on. Because it doesn't need this huge like fear around it, because to me, the reality is it goes back to, okay, we need to address your internal terrain. We need to work with your nervous system to build up stress resiliency. We need to work with your minerals, again, to support more stress resiliency and to support our mitochondria for how we pass down our genes, especially as women, and where hormones are created. So to me, I don't feel like MTHFR needs this huge label or this huge red flag over it, because you just need to support more detox. You just need to support ongoing detox and continue to peel back those layers from a root cause, whole body, and internal terrain approach. And that's no different for a lot of people struggling with many different things. Like, again, many of the clients that I'm working with are having poor detox. They're poor eliminators. They have sluggish terrains. They have sluggish digestion. And pathogens, toxins become overloaded and stored in the body because we're not getting them out efficiently. And the similar thing is with this MTHFR, except the specifics are related to enzymes breaking down or utilizing essentially folate. Okay, so the reality is cool. We're going to just eat whole foods because we get the most bioavailable nutrients and minerals from whole food sources, which is, again, a foundation for many of us that we should all be eating whole natural food sources with the least amount of inflammation, the least amount of toxins and pesticides present in them, and what is true and good for us according to seasonal eating or the environment in which you live, that is going to be a foundation for everybody, no matter if you have MTHFR or not. We want to eat whole food sources, getting the most nutrients out of those foods that we possibly can, and minimize the toxins, environmental toxins within those. Okay, we're going to want to support our minerals and mineral-rich foods and water. That's a foundation across everybody because we need minerals and energy to be able to detox and support detox better, because detox takes a lot of energy. In fact, your liver is a primary organ involved in lots and lots of detox processes and related to hormones and waste and toxins, alcohol, medications, you name it, so many different things that it's doing. And so we need to give our liver plenty of amino acids. We need to give our liver plenty of carbs. We need to give our body lots of fats for moving bile, because bile helps us carry out toxins and waste and supports detox. So all of these things, again, no matter if you have MTHFR or not, you're going to be one of supporting for everyday living in this modern life. So the next thing is probably more specific to MTHFR, but you could just err on the side of caution anyways and just take methylated folate if you're looking for some multivitamins with that. But again, this is kind of anybody anyways, is you're going to want to get rid of cheap forms of vitamins and minerals. You're not going to want to source out cheap and poor quality of the vitamins and minerals in it, which are usually synthetic. So we want to get the most whole food sources of minerals and nutrients. And when you're looking and sourcing out your supplements, most of those that are third-party tested, that are high quality, they're going to have more of that methylated version because that is a better absorbable form. So again, no matter if you have MTHFR or not, but that what could be just a little bit more specific is being more mindful with your supplements. And if there is folate in it, well, you could, number one, err on the side of caution and just not take anything with folate in it and support your gut health, where we create and have beneficial bacteria that help us absorb and take up those nutrients and minerals so much better. So yeah, I mean, really, you could err on the side of caution, just not take a supplement with folate in it or folic acid, or you can opt to just be gentle and careful and test out how you feel with methylfolate in it. But it really goes back to just sourcing out high quality supplements and not getting cheap ones. And that goes along the same lines of like food and nutrient void foods and fake food and highly processed and fortified foods. You're going to want to avoid that because that's not going to support MTHFR. But that's not going to support anybody in the best capacity anyway. So again, not too much changes when you're trying to optimize and support your health. And the next one is the gut health. I mean, no matter if we have poor detox, right? We have poor detoxability. We're going to need to support gut health. That is the foundational work that I do in my practice, is helping people shift their internal terrain, specifically with their gut health, and then diving into the layers deeper from there, because you can't throw a little magic pill and heal everything at once, or reverse everything at once. The body takes the time that it takes, and there is a process of healing in the body. And most people don't know this. Most people skip past these things, and that's why they never truly get better, or they keep circling the same issues, or they have chronic health issues that, again, are chronic because they're not approaching healing the body in an appropriate way and at the pace of which the body can go. So your gut health, you're going to need to support your gut health for supporting more detox. And that's, going to be supporting more detox foods, helping move bile, supporting your liver, castor oil packs, and supporting detox organs like sweating, taking magnesium baths, rebounding, working on your lymphatics, breathing, doing some breath work, because I know I say breathing and people are like, I breathe. Do you? Have you caught yourself holding your breath? Do you take intentional and full deep breaths? Many of you probably not. So yeah, breath work is going to help open up our lungs, which is a very huge detox pathway. And as well as minerals and nourishment and supporting our adrenals is the first step of supporting detox. It's giving our bodies, again, that energy, that resource, that fuel to detox and detox efficiently on an ongoing basis. So, I talk about parasites a lot, but like parasites, fungi, candida are all part of our internal environment, our internal terrain anyways. The problem is when we have a shift in that internal environment, which favors those pathogens, and it becomes of excess. And that's when we have symptoms from them. Parasites are everywhere in our environment. They're within us, but when our internal terrain shifts to their favor, to their excess, that's where we have issues. And it's not just about removing the parasites. Although I'm a huge fan of parasite cleansing, just merely jumping in to kill and remove parasites is still missing the picture of supporting our internal terrain. You don't just get rid of the parasites. They hold 6 to 8 times of their body weight of toxins waste, and they're there for a reason. They're there for a reason. A lot of the compensations and shifts our body has made are in favor of us. It's in favor to protect us. And whether we really don't see that or not, or we don't like how that looks, or we're, not liking what we're experiencing, there's a reason that this shift happens. And so that's why healing happens in layers. That's why healing happens in a process, not something you just jump into and decide to parasites are a problem. I'm just going to pick this out and throw it out. You didn't address the internal terrain of your full body, your whole self, which caused those to proliferate for a certain reason. You could have been exposed to higher levels of toxins that your body couldn't get out. So we're going to bring in more parasites to clean up the area. So merely just ridding of the parasites doesn't address their source of toxicity that's causing this, and that parasite stepped in to help out. So it's not always wrong. It's not always bad. Same with mold. Same with all these other things. They're not there to attack you, kill you. And it's there's these terrible, evil, demonic things. They usually have a purpose. They have a purpose in our environment outside of our bodies. We see them out in nature. They have a purpose. And we also see their purpose within us. But it's when the internal terrain gets shifted, when there is a shift where there's a collapse in the terrain, things are going to shift to that state to compensate for your best interest. And so in order to restore homeostasis and bring us back to our birthright, which is health and healing, we got to address healing in layers and working at the pace and the process that your body needs to go. Not a lot of people know this. So when we parasite cleanse here, we parasite cleanse effectively. When we detox here, we detox effectively. We don't just jump into something because we think it's cool and trendy or because we see an immediate crisis because we have parasites. No, we don't do that. I'll talk about something later in this episode, but I just opened up a new one-on-one space called Inner Detox Glow, specifically for this, where we actually go at the pace that your body needs to go and heal in layers, working our way through building the foundations of minerals, rebuilding our internal terrain, and then clearing out our internal terrain, clearing out our gut, and getting us into a position where we can approach parasite cleansing and go through parasite cleansing. But we're working with the whole body. We're going through the layers. We're going at the pace of your body. So that's why it's one-on-one. So I'm going to talk more about this later, but go ahead and message me on Instagram, or you can drop something in here and I'll reach out to you if you're interested. And this, we're going to be starting in 2 weeks for Inner Detox Glow. So excited. I'm so excited to bring this because this is needed so much in the world right now. Okay, I digress. Back into what I was talking about, supporting our gut health, but we also need to support the organs of detox. And what I like to refer, which you see probably in a lot of my content or the way that I talk, is what I call opening drainage pathways. So opening drainage pathways is super important because those are the way that we move toxins, waste, and excess of which we don't need. We need to get out what no longer serves us. So these are the organs of detox, and it's super important in any sort of cleansing and clearing and supporting of our bodies is we need to support our body's ability to detox. And that is supporting and working with these organs that help us move and get rid of this waste. So, the number one thing that I see, which is maybe common for a lot of you, is people being constipated. And I think there's a misconception on constipation that it's just that you can't poop for several days. But even diarrhea is a form of constipation because you don't have formed stools and what I call a snake-like and climbing out of the toilet capacity. And we should be pooping every day, and it shouldn't be stimulated by some sort of caffeine or energy drink or stress. So those are different things that I see as a number one is constipation. And that's just in regards to your colon, right? But some other things is skin. Our skin is a reflection of our internal body. And specifically, we can look at it as a reflection of our liver and what is not being processed and detoxed well within our liver. So we're going to want to support the detox organs. We're going to open up our drainage pathways to get the stuff out that needs to be moving out. So that's supporting our liver, our bile flow, our mitochondria, our skin, our lungs, our colon, our menstrual cycle. Ladies, your period, your bleeding is an internal detox and cleansing your body does every single month. And that is just so fucking amazing that our bodies do it because, we women tend to carry more fat than men. And where do toxins typically reside and get stored and held in the body? Well, There's a lot of affinity to fatty tissues where these toxins sit, especially fake estrogens or xenoestrogens, chemicals, pesticides, you name it. And so that is an important thing, that our bodies just have a built-in cleansing system every single month because of that capacity. And women tend to have slower metabolisms than men. And so genetically speaking, women can tend to have a little bit slower detox than men. And so what a beautiful, naturally created gift that was given to us, that we detox every single month. And then again, this goes back to when you struggle with menstrual cycles or you have poor progesterone production. Progesterone keeps estrogen at bay, and which is also immune supporting. So that benefits our ability to detox and keeping estrogen from not recirculating or getting stored in the body. The more menstrual cycles that you have, the more that you have this high level of progesterone that keeps estrogen at bay, which supports detox and not overloading our liver with excess estrogen to try to get rid of. But also, the more cycles you have, more opportunities you have to detox just with your God-given natural physiology that sheds our inner lining, that sheds and clears our internal womb space. So pretty incredible. So we love that. We love that about being a woman, is we have that natural detox ability. And so many of you are not even reaping the benefits of that. It's in their conversation. But again, doing breath work to support the lungs, hydration, sleep, and being able to impact our lymphatic system, which is a natural detox in our brain while we're sleeping. We have this neuro detox and also shedding and eliminating and getting rid of things throughout our day and our mind field that aren't worth it, that we don't need to be holding on to. And that is happening while we sleep. So sleep is, yes, beneficial for rejuvenating, but there's also a detox that's happening while we sleep. And sweating is one of the major and most important ways to ongoing detox and helping our bodies offload waste. And where a lot of people get this wrong is they think that, well, let's say, for example, people are drinking. I love hearing this now. They're like, they're hungover. They're like, I need to sweat this out. Well, maybe sweating can make you feel better, but that doesn't actually mean that you're detoxing, because you're working out in a fight or flight state, in a higher intensity state, which we detox in states of rest and digest, which happens when we're in a warm bath or we're on a walk and we have a light sweat going. So sweating in restful states versus super intense and very active arousal states, that's different. We still like that you can sweat, but detox is happening when we're sweating on more of a calm, relaxed state. So you're in a sauna, you're in a warm bath, and you're sweating in that way. That's what we like. And then movement, because movement is helping blood flow, helping circulate, and moving this vitality, this life force through us to support all these organs and processes and carry the nutrients and minerals and oxygen and all these beautiful things. And so lymphatics is a play in that as well too, because when we activate and move our muscles, we're pumping and we're moving things through our lymphatic system as well. So all of these things are super supportive, which you would do anyways, right? We need to be doing anyways in this day and age. And for a lot of the women, a lot of people that I work with and see this specifically, these are things that we do, whether they have MTHFR or not, we're focusing on these things. So that is my point of view on MTHFR. And I'd love to hear what you guys have thoughts about this, but this is my perspective. So this is just about partnering. This is about working with your body and being able to support it throughout your day-to-day life that doesn't really have to be wrapped up in this fear or this panic, because a lot of the things that can support somebody with true MTHFR are going to be things that we should all be doing anyways in the current state of the world, the environment, and the ecosystem that we live in, and that of which is our internal terrain. So if you've been told that you have MTHFR or mutations and it left you spiraling, I want you to know that it's not a genetic destiny for you. You're not stuck. You're not broken. You're not incapable. You're not incomplete. You're not a victim. You get to put your foot forward in how your body expresses these genes. And you get to decide how you're going to show up every day in the world to just support, to tend, to nurture, and care for your body, regardless. So I just launched a new one-on-one program called Inner Detox Glow, and it's where we spend 6 months together to work through these layers of healing together, like I mentioned earlier. We're going to support your minerals, so we have the energy to then move into clearing up our gut and our internal terrain. And then we're going to move into those deeper layers of detox where we can detox most effectively and we get our body turned back online. We're going to be starting together in 2 weeks. If you're interested in this, reach out to me on Instagram, or you can comment in this episode below in our detox, and I will send you more information about it. So because I'm launching this new program, the first month is going to be half off as we get ready to start in 2 weeks. So if you were interested in this, you can email me, you can comment on the episode in our Detox Glow, and I will reach out to you with some more information about it and send you the link to join. And if you would like to have any topics, and if you have a topic that you want my take on or my perspective on, there is a form in the show notes below that you can click a link and send me some ideas that you have. I'd love to hear what's on your guys' minds. So thank you for joining me and dropping into this episode. Bye.